Late one stormy evening, the massive gates of the Harrington mansion slowly opened as Alexander Harrington returned home earlier than expected. The billionaire businessman was known across the country for his cold personality, ruthless decisions, and endless obsession with work. Newspapers called him the king of luxury hotels, but inside his own house, he had become almost a stranger. After the tragic death of his wife Sophia 3 years earlier, Alexander buried himself in meetings, private flights, and business deals, leaving his 2 young children in the care of servants and tutors. Among all of them, one woman stood out quietly without ever asking for attention. Her name was Elena. Elena had worked as the children's nanny for less than a year, yet somehow she brought warmth back into the giant empty mansion. 7-year-old Lily and 10-year-old Ethan smiled more when she was around. They laughed at dinner again. They played in the gardens again. Even the workers whispered that the house felt alive after years of silence. But Alexander never paid much attention to her. To him, she was simply another employee. That night, rain crashed against the windows while thunder shook the city. Alexander walked through the dark hallway expecting silence, but suddenly he heard frightened voices upstairs. He rushed toward the children's room and froze when he saw something that made his blood run cold. Elena stood in front of the children like a shield. Her arms were stretched protectively while Ethan and Lily hid behind her crying. The room was a complete mess. A broken lamp lay on the floor, the curtains moved wildly from the open balcony door, and standing near the balcony was Victor Kane, Alexander's longtime business associate and trusted friend. Victor's face looked pale and furious at the same time. Elena shouted at him to stay away from the children while Victor angrily claimed she was lying. Alexander could not understand what was happening. For a moment, nobody moved. Only the sound of thunder filled the room. Victor quickly changed his tone the second he noticed Alexander standing there. He smiled nervously and explained that Elena had misunderstood the situation. According to him, he came to check on the children after arriving early for tomorrow's meeting. He accused Elena of overreacting and acting unstable. But Alexander noticed something terrifying. Ethan was shaking with fear, and Lily refused to look at Victor. The children clung tightly to Elena as if their lives depended on her protection. Alexander demanded answers immediately. Elena hesitated for a moment before finally speaking with tears in her eyes. She revealed that Victor had been secretly entering the mansion for weeks whenever Alexander was away. At first he acted friendly toward the children, but recently his behavior became disturbing. Earlier that evening, Victor tried forcing Ethan to reveal where Alexander kept important documents and passwords. When Elena interrupted, Victor became aggressive and threatened her to stay silent. Victor laughed at the accusation and called it ridiculous. He insisted Elena invented the story to manipulate the family for money. Alexander stood there in silence, torn between confusion and anger. Victor had been his closest business partner for almost 15 years. He trusted him more than anyone. Then Ethan quietly spoke words that changed everything. He admitted Victor often questioned him about private things inside the house. At first Ethan thought it was harmless, but tonight Victor became angry when Ethan refused to answer. Lily started crying and said Victor grabbed her arm too hard. Alexander slowly turned toward Victor with disbelief in his eyes. The billionaire who feared no competitor suddenly felt fear. Inside his own home, Victor's mask finally disappeared. His face darkened as he realized the children had exposed him. He confessed that Alexander's empire was collapsing financially and several investors were preparing to betray him. Victor planned to gain access to confidential information hidden inside the mansion before the company's crisis became public. He never expected the nanny to interfere. Alexander could barely breathe. The man he trusted for years had used his children as tools. Security guards quickly removed Victor from the mansion while police were contacted. But even after the danger was gone, the silence inside the house felt heavier than ever. Alexander looked at Elena differently for the first time. She had risked her own safety to protect his children while he remained too distracted to notice the danger surrounding his family. That night Alexander sat beside Ethan and Lily until they fell asleep. It was the first time in years he stayed with them without checking his phone or rushing to another meeting. He realized how much of their childhood he had missed. The following days shocked the entire city. News channels exploded with reports about Victor Kane's attempted corporate theft and criminal investigation. Investors panicked while reporters surrounded the Harrington mansion. Yet inside the house, something far more emotional was happening. Alexander began spending real time with his children. He ate breakfast with them. He listened to their stories. He learned Ethan loved astronomy and Lily dreamed of becoming a painter. The billionaire who once built luxury towers around the world slowly discovered the small moments he had ignored for years. But one mystery continued to haunt him. Why had Elena risked everything for children who were not hers? One evening Alexander finally asked her directly. Elena lowered her eyes before revealing a heartbreaking truth she had hidden since the day she arrived. Years earlier, Elena had worked at a hospital where Sophia Harrington gave birth to Lily. During a terrible accident outside the hospital, Elena's own young son died while saving another child from a speeding car. The tragedy destroyed her life and marriage. She spent years drowning in grief and guilt. Before Sophia passed away from illness, she secretly met Elena several times through charity work. Sophia noticed Elena's kindness toward children despite her pain. When Sophia realized her health was worsening, she personally requested Elena to care for Ethan and Lily if anything ever happened to her. Alexander stood frozen in shock. He never knew his wife had made such arrangements before her death. Elena explained she accepted the role not for money but because protecting the children gave meaning back to her broken life. For the first time since Sophia died, Alexander cried openly. He realized the woman he barely acknowledged had quietly fulfilled his late wife's final wish while expecting nothing in return. As weeks passed, Alexander's relationship with Elena became more respectful and sincere. Rumors spread across social media that the billionaire had fallen in love with the nanny, but the truth was more complicated. What grew between them was built on trust, pain, healing, and shared responsibility. Meanwhile, Victor Kane prepared his revenge from outside prison walls. Though under investigation, he still had connections inside the business world. Anonymous threats began arriving at the mansion. Strange cars appeared outside at night. Someone clearly wanted to scare the Harrington family. Alexander increased security immediately, but Elena sensed something worse was coming. One afternoon while picking Lily up from school, Elena noticed a black vehicle following them through the streets. Her instinct screamed danger. Instead of driving home, she rushed toward a crowded shopping center and contacted security. Moments later, armed men attempted to grab Lily near the parking area. Chaos erupted everywhere. Shoppers screamed while guards chased the attackers. Elena fought desperately to protect Lily until security intervened. The kidnapping failed, but the terrifying incident confirmed Victor's allies were still targeting the family. When Alexander arrived and saw Lily trembling in Elena's arms, guilt consumed him completely. He realized money and power could not guarantee safety. The people who truly protected his children were the ones who genuinely loved them. Police investigations eventually uncovered a massive conspiracy connected to Victor's criminal activities. Several corrupt executives planned to destroy Alexander's empire from within. Victor believed if Alexander lost everything, he would become vulnerable enough to surrender control of his company. But something unexpected happened. Instead of collapsing under pressure, Alexander changed completely. He stopped chasing endless expansion and focused on rebuilding both his company and family honestly. Employees noticed he became calmer and more human. He launched programs supporting working parents and child protection charities in memory of Sophia and Elena's late son. For the first time in years, the billionaire's public image transformed from feared businessman to devoted father. One winter evening, Ethan organized a small family dinner inside the mansion. Nothing luxurious filled the table. No politicians or celebrities attended. Just Alexander, Elena, Ethan, and Lily shared homemade food while snow fell quietly outside. During dinner, Lily suddenly asked Alexander a simple but painful question. She asked if he would have protected them the way Elena did. The room became silent. Alexander looked at his daughter with tears forming in his eyes. He admitted that before that terrible night, he probably would not even have been there. Work had blinded him to everything important. But he promised things would never be the same again. Months later, Victor Kane finally stood trial. Evidence revealed not only financial crimes but attempted kidnapping, intimidation, and conspiracy against the Harrington family. The media covered every shocking detail. When reporters asked Alexander what saved his children from disaster, many expected him to mention security systems or police investigations. Instead, he gave one simple answer: a nanny with more courage than powerful men. The statement went viral worldwide. People became deeply moved by Elena's story. Millions admired the quiet woman who protected two children against danger without expecting fame or reward. Interviews flooded television programs, but Elena avoided attention. She preferred reading bedtime stories to Ethan and Lily rather than appearing before cameras. Years later, the stormy night that nearly destroyed the Harrington family became the moment that saved them instead. Alexander finally understood the truth hidden behind wealth and status. Mansions, luxury cars, and billion-dollar companies meant nothing without the people willing to stand beside you when darkness entered your home. And every single time he looked at Elena laughing with his children in the garden, he remembered the horrifying moment he first saw her standing like a shield before them while danger waited only a few feet away. That image never left his mind. Because on the night a billionaire discovered the nanny protecting his children, he also discovered the terrifying truth about the people he trusted, the family he neglected, and the kind of love that cannot be bought with money.